Hello, everyone. Happy to see you all join me for another episode of Valley of the Dry Bones. We are looking at the conditions of African Americans. We are unique. Our story, our life, our future is unique as others, but ours is more famous, I believe. And I found it. It's on the internet. You could print out this book, Valley of the Dry Bones by Rudolph Windsor. It don't look like it has all the pages. So the page that I left off on, I didn't see it on there. So I'm just going to read some of it real fast. And I found it very interesting because we have already learned a lot about something that we're going through right now, the dismantling of civil rights. Now, it's a shame that we have to fight for civil rights, a God given right, being born on this planet, being born in this world. Everyone should have rights to live a decent, healthy, long life. But of course, since, you know, the mutants came out of that cave and just destroyed all of it. And now they're trying to put it together, destroy it again, put it together. We tired of that. This ain't no yo-yo. Okay, we stopped here at how and why the ex-slaveholders seized power. Before we involve ourselves in the heart of the issues that contributed to the seizure of political power by the plantation owners in the South, I want to list some of the inherent misfortunes and mistakes that were made as early as 1865 and onward. They were as follows: pardoning of the rebels by President Andrew Johnson. Don't we see that now? The pardoning of the J6, January 6th insurrectionists that went up there and acted fool, showed their true colors and their ignorance, got pardoned. The restoration of the property. Now I'm hearing that he wants to give them um, money for their problems because they was treated bad. And the rebels, the disarming of the black troops. Yes, they told the black troops they had to give their weapons away. They had to give their weapons back. It had to where blacks weren't allowed to even own guns. What? We should have never gave away our guns. While rebels were permitted to keep their arms. The breakup of the Anti-Slavery Society in 1870. It should have been converted into the Jim Crow Society. The formation of the Ku Klux Klan in 1865. And the deaths of the two magnanimous white civil rights fighters, Thaddeus and Stevens, and Charles Sumner, both sat in Congress and died in 1868 and 1874, respectively. These misfortunes and mistakes were the foundation of doom and facilitated the rapid political decline of the black man and made him an easy victim of super exploitation. Land. In 1862, during the Civil War, the federal government issued a Confiscation Act. This act empowered the president to seize the plantations of the rebels, and it was generally understood that the enormous estates would be divided upon and distributed to the poor whites and the ex-slaves. Congressman Stevens unsuccessfully tried to get Congress to adopt a land distribution policy. distribution of land taken from the big landowners was not a unusual thing. During the French Revolution, the new government seized the land and distributed it to the common people. Moreover, 400 million acres of land were confiscated from the landowners after the Russian Revolution and handed to the people. The federal government never transferred large amount of land to the millions of freed slaves in the South. Why? There is an extremely important reason for this, which we will explore shortly. After the Civil War, General Sherman gave large tracts of land to the blacks on Sea Islands off the coast of South Carolina with government approval. But the government welched on its promise. It pardoned the rebels and returned their land. The real government land policy was demonstrated in 1865 with the establishment of the Freeman Bureau. Federal policy at that time stated that the Bureau could not rent land to the freemen. However, with this restoration of the land to the rebels, the provision proved to be of little benefit of the freemen. The government had a number of options they could have taken. In 1862, the Congress passed the Homestead Act. It could have opened up a large area of the West and Northwest for the freemen, but they failed to do it. Why? If whites could not tolerate black in their own midst, they could have sent the blacks to the icebox of Alaska. Yet they failed to do this. Why? Frederick Douglass proposed the government that it set aside 1 million so the freemen could buy land at easy terms. They failed to do this. Why? The government gave 23 million acres of land to the railroads, but had none for the ex-slaves. Familiar? Why? There were large tracts of land that the government never restored to the rebels because of non payment of taxes. In fact, speculators, not freemen, got most of the land. Why? In order to stand the government vassallate, vassallate and refused to grant land to millions of poor whites and blacks in the South, or anywhere else for that matter, it is indispensable that we know the development of the labor movement in America. It is an establishment fact that the industrialists, capitalists, and the big bankers control this country and many other countries. The big politicians are not free agents. Many industrialists, interest groups, and bankers control the politicians, both sides. This fact holds true today, as it did over 100 years ago. The writer and labor leader Terence Powderly tells us that when the working men were enlisting in the service of their country, the bankers and owners of gold were working their way into Congress. A speaker on the floor of the House of Representatives said, after looking around him, I see the representations of 80 banks sitting as members of the House. The speaker said this during the Civil War. William Foster reveals to us that the Whig Party, the forerunner of the Republican Party, was dominated by Northern capitalist groups in alliance with slaveholders of the South. Now, read this. The same writer tells us that the pro slavery Democratic Party was controlled by the Southern planters in alliance with the Northern banking and commercial interests. It is, in fact, that many Northerns profited from the slave trade and the exploitation of blacks and poor whites in the South. Oh, yes, of course they did. It was the northern bankers and commercial interests who constructed the ships that brought the slaves to America. It was these same northern commercial interests that manufactured the chains, fetters, shackles that bound the hands and feet of the slaves. Mm, it's all about money. The plantation owners shipped much of the cotton, sugar, tobacco, and other raw materials produced by slave labor to the north to be manufactured. History and research shows that Democratic Party in the South and North amassed great wealth from this institution of slavery. These northern commercial magnates ran for office in the U.S. Congress or backed other politicians who supported their business interests. In the South, many slaveholders held important offices in the House and Senate of the United States. One such slaveholder was Senator Jefferson Davis of Mississippi, who owned a 10,000-acre plantation and hundreds of slaves. Holding high possessions, holding high positions in the government from the presidency on down, these Democrats in the North and the South made the abolition of slavery very difficult. The power of the Democratic Party was finally broken when the Democratic South seceded from the United States and became the Confederate States after 1861. The newly formed Republican Party, the Party of Lincoln, became the dominant party during the Civil War and the Reconstruction period, 1861 to 1880. What did the Republican Party gain from the war? One, the control of the federal government. Two, the building of the stronger industries in the North. Three, an increase in tariff against foreign competition, which also permitted Northern industrialists access to Southern raw materials. So you see right now, there is a coalition going on here. The South is rising again. The South is running things right now in the White House. And we have to ask ourselves, who really won the Civil War? The South is rising again. I'm telling y'all, I made a video about that a few years ago. The South is rising again. Uh, let me see. Four, the Northern capitalists moving into the South to begin the process of industrialization. Okay. The Northern capitalists gaining of poor whites and blacks as political allies. With the political support of the workers, farmers, middle class, poor whites, and blacks, the Republican Party was able to win the national elections of 1868 to 1872 and the close elections of 1876 and 1880. They keep all this out of the schools. They don't want us to see the repeat button being pushed. It's getting really interesting. But I want us to read a little bit of this together. I thought this would be pretty fun. We're going to continue reading chapter by chapter. Okay. But let me see what we got up here. Oh, this is getting real. This is getting really good. Um, the hypocrisy of Johnson and the Northern Democrats. Where is that at? See, it's oh man, I thought I had it. Um, because it's not the same page. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Whoa, boy. Oh boy. This book really tells you what's really going on right now. Okay. Let me see. Let me go up. Okay. Just seeing that picture. Oh my goodness. Let me see. Oh. Okay. Eastern Europe. We're hearing a lot about Europe these days. Why is they so mad at Europe? Let's read this together about the Russian invasion of the Middle East. Yes, the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic, and also known as Russia, will invade in occupied Middle East. My statement is confirmed by many biblical scholars. Every day, biblical prophecy is being fulfilled before our very eyes. This fact lends itself to the authenticity of the Hebrew scriptures as one of the most exclusive and accurate holy books in existence. Now, let's multiplicity of evidence speak for itself. The word of the Creator God unto Ezekiel, the prophet, around the year 585 BC. Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. The prophecy against him. Ezekiel 38, verse 2. It is necessary to identify these ancient names in order to obtain a geographical indication of their location. Therefore, a knowledge of ancient history is highly important to understanding the Bible. The word God appears to be a title of a leader of the people in the land of Magog, Meshi, and Tubal. The latter three names are mentioned in Genesis 10, verse 2, among the sons of Japheth. Joseph, the historian, informs us that Ciscius, and descendant of the Magonites, Western Geographic Dictionary reveals that Senef was an ancient name of parts of southern Europe and Asia, now included in Russia. Wow, this is a lot. Okay. Okay, we're not going to read all that. A lot of this is Eastern Europe. Gomer is mentioned in Genesis 10:2 as the oldest son of Japhet. The most ancient maps show the descendants of Gomer and Togarmah in northern East Europe, the north, the central Russia, respectively. It's mighty strange that right now we're hearing a lot about these countries, Russia, Europe, um, the army destined to invade the Middle East and the state of Israel would descend from the north. In fact, in the Hebrew language, the text read, wow, whatever that is. This means the extreme or the remote north. It does not mean that the army will come from Lebanon, Syria, or Turkey. The north means the focal point from the land of Israel. The only nation to the extreme north of the land of Israel is Russia. Just consider how accurate the prophecy of God is. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be a cloud to cover the land, though, and all the bands and many people will with thee. Thou, referring to Russia, and all thy bands and many people with thee. Russia will not be by herself when she invades the Middle East, but with her will be a communist satellite country of Eastern Europe, which are behind the Iron Curtain. The communist countries are as follows. Let's see. Poland, so- Soviet Union, Romania, Yugoslavia, East Germany, Czechs. I used to be able to say that word. Czechoslovakia, Afghanistan, Hungary, Bolivia, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia. I'm messing up these words, but this is mighty strange. This is like at the end of the book when we start getting into biblical prophecy and all this. But wow, this is really interesting. I want to end now. I just wanted to let you know that this book is online. Uh, just put in the name of the book and the author, and you will find it, and you can print it out. Wow. And I got this book I'm reading. It's called The South Was Right. Look it up. Because like I said, it's always good to hear from both sides. It's always good to read books, all kind of books. All right. Thank you for listening. And you all have a wonderful day.